folks, where do I begin? I just want to kind of bring you up to speed on where we are, where my campaign is, and what we see moving forward as we go through the next, I think, what is it, 52 days? Does that sound right? So many of you supported me. We got the Democratic Party endorsement. We won the primary. I've consolidated the field and have all the Democrat support. And now we're pivoting and we're moving forward as we're closing in on the November election. And I am incessantly attacked by our collective Republican opponent. He has done a valiant effort to discredit me, to discredit my record, and to really to put me down. False allegations. A lot of this is happening in the Twitter sphere. Most recently, he attacked me for a trip that I went to. I went to Venezuela, and 16 years ago, before I was even elected. And it was a educational cultural tour. And because I went to Venezuela, they're saying that I support Hugo Chavez and I support a socialist regime, and therefore I'm the boogie woman and should not be elected. The other thing that other attacks that they have lodged against me was that I didn't walk or graduate from high school, which is, hold on. Hold on a minute, I'm on the Zoom. I'm on my own today, folks. So this is Madison. Can you say hello to everybody? Hello, okay. But the, yes, the boogie, here's some water. So the other attacks is that I didn't graduate from high school. And so I went and I told my parents about this, and my father found a video from the archive. Now, I graduated high school in 1996, an archive of me not only graduating from high school, but earning a leadership award, which I had completely forgotten. I was student body president and spoke at the graduation. There are attacks saying that I'm greedy and I'm lazy and that I have a horrible attendance record on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. And I wanted to tell you that that article came out. That article came out at a time when my family was having one of my family members was having a health crisis. And you guys know, because you've lived life fully, that I just had to take some time. But my attendance at the Board of Supervisors is impeccable, or was impeccable. So here we are moving forward. We just shot our commercial yesterday here in San Francisco. So we are excited about that. It will be edited. It will be live certainly in the San Francisco Bay Area and the Sacramento Valley. That will be another 30-second clip. We've got a healthcare professional, a nurse, talking about the importance of Prop 1, talking about the importance of a woman's right to choose, and connecting this important piece of policy with my opponent. My opponent is not in favor of a woman's right to choose, does not support Proposition 1. So that is pretty much the highlight of the campaign. We're in a strong position. We are going to move and to win this election. We need to make sure that we're able to raise the money to fight back. So that is my final ask. Just if you have any coins left over, to please contribute. And I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Hello, Miss Barbara Wilson. I see you over there. You snuck in. I see you.
So if you do have a question, Carol has a question. Hi, Carol. You need to unmute.
Good morning, Carol.
Hi there. Excuse me for being blank. You don't want to see me right now. People ask me what the controller does really quickly. I'm knocking on a door and I'm saying Malia Cohen and controller, and they say, "What's a controller?"
Sure. Let me tell you very succinctly. The treasurer brings money in, and the controller writes the checks and spends the money and makes sure the facilitation of the checks that go out are smooth. So that means if you're a retiree and you work for the state of California, I make sure that you get your monthly check. If you are a state employee like myself, I write my signatures on the check that pays the salary. Any kind of programs, think about reproductive health programs that tax dollars fund, making sure that money goes where it's supposed to go. So in essence, it's very simple. Money comes in through the treasurer and money goes out through the controller.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Raise your hand like Carol did. Oh, Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Malia. Well, congratulations on the win and for consolidating. And for where you're at, I just put in the chat your link to your website to donate. And then also, we're making it very aware and apparent through the entire mechanism that is the Democratic Party, that when you're standing at someone's door or phone banking, that we point them to either the KDAM site, which I put in the link, where you see now the party has on the home page the endorsed candidates. So it's an easy way for people who aren't really involved in politics to be able to go to that site and see exactly who the Democratic Party is endorsing. You'll see your picture and your name right there, and it makes it easy when they get their ballot then to fill their ballot out complete from top to bottom using that information, and then sign, date, and turn it in. So this is a turnout race, and the fact that your opponent, who I believe we have on video, and I'll send it to you, that he was just here at a Republican get-together, a fundraiser where
are you in Southern California? Are you in like Orange County?
Yep, exactly. It was with Buck Johns at his facility, and naturally the MAGA R's are saying derogatory things.
Yes.
What they know how to do. And the fact that the California GOP came out and is a no on Prop 1.
Yes.
I mean, game over. Game over. That is just unconscionable, regardless of where you're at. So
Dennis, you actually make a really good point. And I think that's a solid talking point that will motivate our base to get out and to vote.
Yeah, so we already have, and you know, when you see anyone talk in front of a focus group, that if you talk about kitchen table items, people tend to slump in their chair a little bit. And yeah, we get that. But you talk about taking away the freedom of women to control their own bodies, and people sit up in their chairs and their hair. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. So the fact that Trump ruins everything, and he does, and the fact that he got those 3 people on the Supreme Court and they ended up doing what they did and tearing down Roe, they have given us an opportunity now to engage on every level. So it's just turnout.
And you know, also, let's not forget about the national ban that was introduced last week as well.
Yep. And Lindsey Graham, they wanted to talk about inflation, and he delivered the gift. So these guys, DeSantis, what he did with our beautiful process of trying to allow people to come into the country, I mean, for what they did as this stunt. And I guess just now on Twitter, it looks like the Texas governor now has done the same thing. So they're trying to divert us from what's at stake. And what's at stake is literally democracy. And the way we turn everybody out is using the abortion issue as a motivating issue. So way to go. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. This is a collective thing. So I applaud everyone on this caucus call that is actually making these phone calls, that are doing the door knocking, and that are sending out those text messages, because that is definitely how we are going to win. For my little one, for little Madison in the background, she just turned 2 years old on last Wednesday.
What a cutie pie. Yes. Look at that.
So we gotta restore her right to choose.
Yeah, too bad she can't vote though.
No, not yet, but she will as soon as she can.
Well, that's a good point though. We've got a lot of women that are sharing their stories of their journey in healthcare. And I mean, what you ladies have gone through, right, in regards to family planning. I mean, the horrific things that are happening across the country right now to women.
Yeah, you're right.
Incest.
Dennis?
Yeah.
Thanks, Dennis. I want to give someone else an opportunity to ask a question if they have any. Otherwise, Malia,
yes.
Do you have last words of wisdom for us?
You know what, I do. My last words of wisdom would be actually just to take a moment of gratitude to thank the grandmothers and the grandfathers that are on this call that really do pave the path forward. And I'm happy to be on this team. I'm here because of a lot of the work that you've done during the civil rights movement. And I'm really grateful to be on the team to continue to charge.
Thanks. Well, we not only have grandmothers and grandfathers, we have great grandmothers and great grandfathers.
Wow, generation.
I'm going to have my second great grandchild in February.
Oh.
So Olivia is 8 years old. So, you know, we're getting them into the mold of being good citizens, caring for their community, and showing their spirit of appreciation for a democracy that we can't lose. So we support you.
Well,
We support you.
congratulations to you and your
Thanks.
family, Ruth. It's always a blessing when a new life comes into the world.
Yes, and thank you for being one of the people who will make this, continue to have this be a better world
Yeah.
rather than one that is destroyed. So thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Have a wonderful caucus meeting. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Malia.
You're welcome.
And continuing on with our program for today, we have people from the campaigns for several of the must-win California Congressional District races. And to speak for the Christy Smith campaign, let's see, Angelica, would you introduce our next speaker?
Good morning, everyone. We've got Joey. Is Joey? I didn't see if he was on
He's
the
here.
call.
He's
Okay,
here.
wonderful. Zoe, sorry. Joey, would you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, we have Joey representing Christy Smith's campaign, and he's going to provide an update for us as well as share some of the volunteer opportunities to support the campaign.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Angelica. Yes, hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. My name's Joey, and I am the organizing director for the Christy Smith for Congress campaign. And just want to say good morning to everyone and give you a little update on the campaign. Christy did want to apologize for not being able to be here herself. She's currently at a community event in Palmdale. And so, but it is like crunch time. So it's been really exciting, you know, as we know, like the urgency is definitely here. We're in California 27. So it's Northern LA County. It was redistricted to exclude Simi Valley. So it is a bluer district as well. And it is going to be a neck and neck race. All of the different Politico, 538, all of them have us as a toss up with our chances of winning being exactly 50. So we're neck and neck. We just received our polling back, and we're also neck and neck in our polling as well. A lot of folks move to support us once they hear about where Garcia stands, where his votes have been on Roe v. Wade, contraceptives, you know, Social Security, Medicare. Those are the top 4 issues that were polling the highest for us. That, you know, once people heard where he's voted on that, they go to our side, the folks who are undecided or more moderate. And so we know we have a pathway to victory here. For us, it's just getting out that message. So Christy is out there talking to voters. She's knocking on doors. She's making calls. She's doing everything as well. We ran last cycle, so in 2020, and lost to Garcia by 333 votes. So it's very close. Part of that is that she decided that for the safety of the volunteers and voters that we weren't going to canvass. And so unfortunately, with Democrats, a lot of folks need that encouragement, need someone going to their door to go out there and vote. And so we know we can win this. And so we're doing everything that we can be. And yes, couple updates just, you know, in general. So Christy is actually having a town hall tomorrow in Santa Clarita, and then another one in the Allen Valley next week. Garcia has rejected debating her at all. And so we're just making sure we get our message out to voters in that way. We invite everyone when we go out and canvass. We have flyers that we invite folks to on our phone banks. We have an added question inviting folks to come and attend and have Christy earn their support. And then we also send out text messages inviting them too. And so our goal is to let folks know that Christy is accessible and wants to fight for them and for their rights, and wants to answer any questions they have. And that's just a very stark difference from Garcia. He holds, I actually live in this district, California 27. I live up in the Antelope Valley. I've been, this is where I'm born and raised. And so I know like firsthand before 2018, when this district was flipped, we had Steve Knight and he didn't represent us and his votes hurt my family. Garcia is the same. He's just as extreme. He is just wrapped up in a better bubble. He's more charismatic and he is a former fighter pilot with the Navy. And so he has a lot of things that are going for him that Steve Knight, for example, didn't have. And that is affecting how some people view him and, think, oh, like he's a patriot. He's going to, fight for my rights. He's going to do these things. We've had so many veterans actually come to us and let us know that like, oh, like I gave him a chance in 2020, but I'm not going to be doing that anymore because he isn't even supporting veterans. And our community is one of the nation's biggest veteran populations in California 27. But that's just a little bit of an update. We are working hard. They've already had millions of dollars poured in by the California GOP, who is targeting this race. And so the attack ads have already started against Christy. People are getting mailers, digital ads, TV ads, and we're trying to match that. Of course, it's hard. And we, one thing they're okay with just blatant lies. And so a lot of the attacks are actual just blatant lies. That's not even something that can be construed as true. And one thing that they know is that propaganda works. If you say it over and over enough times across enough mediums, people will believe it. And so the best way we have to combat that are, besides us making sure we're getting our message out, making sure we're contrasting against Garcia on these top issues, is talking to voters, because phone banking, canvassing, those are like the only two ways that you can actually have a conversation, answer questions from voters, get clarification. A lot of people just want clarification before they support Christy, things like that. So I want to put in the chat this doc we recently actually had a seniors issues roundtable in the district. And so you can see in that document that I just shared, like that is all the bad votes that Garcia has taken. And he just he's not representative in any way. Like there's nothing like, we've tried to find good things that he's done so we can be ready. And he just hasn't on every issue. And unfortunately, he'll just lie and he'll say in his mailers, I support Social Security and Medicare and protections and expansions. And it's just not, his votes do not line up with that. And so a lot of it is just being clear on what that record is. And so I'm happy to answer any questions. And then I do want to pop in some opportunities to volunteer. We have phone banking. So we'll be phone banking specifically seniors with, a script about the issues about Social Security, about Medicare, about other salient issues. We have, crosstabs from our polls that we can look through from the demographics. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. We have the phone banks Saturday, September 24th and October 1st, which is also Saturday, both from 9 to 11. So I'd love to have folks join. We can do manual calls or use the dialer, whatever folks are more comfortable with. And then I also do send paper lists to folks over email and they print them out and make those calls that way as well. Every call matters, every bit matters. This seat is so important, not only for us to flip, it's very flippable, but to help us make sure we do hold on to the House majority. And then I want to pop in there the link for postcarding as well. Postcarding has actually been shown to be very effective because it's one of the only materials they see or things that they receive that is handwritten, that shows effort, that someone actually took the time and wrote that, a volunteer. And studies have shown that is very effective. And so people can request a certain amount of postcards and get those mailed to you, and then you would fill them out, hold them to a certain date, and then mail them off. But yes, happy to answer any questions now.
Val.
Yes, the Mendocino Coast Democratic Club has sent off 2,700 postcards for Christy Smith, and I wrote a bunch of them.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much. That is awesome.
Joey, I have a favor to ask.
Mhm.
Could you send me the image of what's on the postcard? I need to do that in order to get the CDP to approve funds, our caucus treasury funds, to be used to pay for postage if people can't afford the postage. So would you send that directly to me?
Yes, I'm writing that down now and I will send to you after the meeting.
Great, thanks. Carolyn, question.
Not so much a question, it's more information. Hi, Joey, Carolyn Fowler, Chair of the Women's Caucus. We're going to be doing a bus rally from Culver City on October 8th. So I'll put something in the chat for people to join us. We're going to be canvassing for Christy on October the 8th with the party. So look forward to it. Thank you.
Yes, awesome. That's right. I did just have a planning meeting on that. And we're coming up, you guys are coming up to a very important part of the district, the Antelope Valley, which is majority Latino and Black voters. And we have a new half of Lancaster. We have a new part of the district that was previously represented by Kevin McCarthy. So they're not used to being in a competitive seat. And so it's one of the areas that we have the least volunteers of. A lot of folks are working, several jobs, commute to LA, and so we have a lot of, that is our pathway to victory. Over 75% of that area are Democrats. And so especially during GOTV, it's just getting out that vote. And so October 8th is that kickoff of GOTV. Most folks will have ballots at that point. And so we're excited to have you guys. Thank you.
I've been told that Lee Greenwald has her hand up. Would you unmute?
Yeah.
Has his hand up. I'm sorry. Has his hand up, right?
I just wanted to remind you that Vote for Vets is a good organization. I don't know if you've contacted with them yet.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not
Right.
off the top of my mind.
Vote for Vets.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I will get in contact if we haven't already.
Okay.
Oh, I
Well,
live in Christie's area district. As you know, I'm a longtime supporter of Christie. And I just want to remind you that in the Antelope Valley, we have a huge need, a huge unmet need of mental health services for adults. And that's a tri-county area. So one of the solutions that I would like to see happen would be a tri-county regional approach to treatment, rather than having people, based on their zip code of where they're living, they go by ambulance to 70 to 90 miles, either to Bakersfield, San Bernardino, or Sylmar, which is hugely expensive and hugely wasteful. But and of course, there's a military base there, Edwards. And so to me, it just is ideally suited to have a federally, state, regional solution for the residents, and it would grow jobs in something other than aerospace, which is all Steve Knight ever talked about, is good aerospace jobs. So I certainly will do all I can, and I hope that when we're talking, we also talk about the need for mental health services and the huge numbers of homeless, unhoused people that are in that area, and the huge level of poverty that is so endemic. I mean, so those good aerospace jobs, and then you have the sea of mankind that has almost nothing, can't even buy Pampers. So thank you, Carolyn, for coming up. Maybe that would be a day that we could also join in somehow, and try to turn out people that live there, that normally a lot of people with mental disorders assume that they're not allowed to vote because of their mental health history. So I'm going to be trying to get that word out. And I hope that we have more visual representation of Christie's campaign, not just the door knocking, but also signs. But that's one place Garcia just beats our socks off, because he's got all that money.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you so much. That definitely is such important issues. I feel like there's so many, and there's so many that we need to work on. And so I wrote that down, and I will pass that on to Christy. And I agree that that is a good solution. And we have that unmet need along with so many others, which is very frustrating. Like being from the Antelope Valley as well is like, yeah, Garcia is not representing our district. He's not bringing back the solutions and the money that we need. And so I will definitely pass that on and agree with the signs. We should be doing one more round of signs because unfortunately his side also takes our signs down. And so we deal with folks who go and do that. But yes, thank you so much for your input.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Joey. And we will be including the information in a follow-up newsletter that we have about how people can get involved in Christy's campaign if they're not already. So thanks for being here today.
Perfect, thank you. And thanks for the invitation.
Okay. And now, not from a congressional candidate, but I think it's important that we stay closely aligned and listen to what's going on with the DNC. And so I've invited Michael Kapp, a member of the DNC. We've been rotating through all the California members of the DNC. And Michael, would you please unmute and tell us what's going on?
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Yes, my name's Michael Kapp. My pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for the invitation, Chairwoman Carter. I also want to acknowledge my DNC colleague, Carolyn Fowler, who's here today. So nice to see you again, Carolyn. While I've done my best, all of you might not know me personally, but I hope you at least know my recaps of DNC meetings. The DNC met just last week in Maryland, and just in case, I'm going to be dropping in a link to my recap in the chat. There you go. I always like to start these meetings with what the DNC does not do. We can't direct national party funds. We can't pass legislation, and DNC resolutions are basically toothless. We can't go beyond the national party, national convention platform. We can't instruct candidates, outside groups, the DNC, Congress, or the White House to do anything. So now that we have that settled, this is what the DNC does. The DNC is in charge of the presidential nominating process every 4 years. Everything from the nominating calendar, the early states, how delegates should be elected to the convention location, the rules for the convention, all of that is done by the DNC. But when it comes to DNC members, even that is basically a rubber stamp. So what did we do at our meeting last week in Maryland? Well, in addition to our standard resolutions, we also voted and approved the 2024 call to the National Convention. We approved the 2024 delegate selection rules, and we approved 33 amendments to the DNC's charter and bylaws. There were 3 major contentious items, including 2 resolutions and 1 amendment. And I'll go through each of those really quickly. First, there was a resolution from California's R.L. Miller on the Inflation Reduction Act and Joe Manchin's secret side deal for dirty energy permitting. There was a resolution from the Nevada State Chair that asked the DNC to ban dark money, super PAC money. That also called on candidates to reject this money and for the DNC to investigate, violations of that policy. Finally, there was 1 amendment to the DNC's charter and bylaws that, in many people's view, and as the head of the DNC's Rules and Bylaws Committee even admitted, It creates a loophole that if the National Convention provides direction relating to party governance, it's ineffective until the DNC ratifies it. And this amendment doesn't even require a ratification vote. So that basically gives party elites in the DNC a pocket veto on what grassroots Democrats in the National Convention voted for. So the two resolutions, what leadership did was they created basically identical resolutions from Chairman Jamie Harrison that excised all the quote unquote bad parts, and the resolutions committee voted to approve those with very little discussion. When it came to RL's resolution, they almost didn't give her speaking time to talk about it. Per the standing rules for the committee, if an author is there and wishes to speak, they would grant that, but that took some doing. And then Lawrence Zaxon, who's also from California, one of two Californians on the committee, along with Keith Umamoto, very graciously offered speaking time to David Atkins and myself. Both of us were co-sponsors of RL's resolution. David spoke, and then I gave up my time to the Nebraska State Party Chair, Jane Pleb, who some of you may know as the woman who's primarily responsible for killing the Keystone pipeline in her state. There was no motion made in the committee to approve RL's resolution and send it to the full DNC, so it died. And basically the same thing happened to the resolution on super PAC money. There was no motion or a second to approve that resolution, send it to the full DNC, so that also died. So in the package that went to the full DNC, neither of those resolutions were included. On the rules package, leadership, as they do, packaged everything together. So all the good stuff, including the rules for the National Convention, the delegate selection rules, and the 33 amendments were all put in one package. We were not able to separate that out so we could discuss the one bad amendment. Thankfully, though, there was a request and members were allowed to individually vote on that. There was no written ballot, but people stood if they were able to vote in favor and then against that. Myself and several others from California voted no on the entire package because we couldn't separate it out. But our only focus was on that one bad amendment. We are hopeful that we'll be able to take that up again at the next DNC meeting, but it's a lot more difficult to change something once it's already enshrined in the DNC's charter and bylaws than fix it in committee like we were hoping to do. So I'll stop there, but I'm happy to take any questions from anyone.
So thank you, Michael, for that very candid explanation of what went on at the DNC meeting. It seems to me that California again is attempting to take the lead on democratizing the DNC. Anything else you'd like to say about that?
I would like to say that my main focus since getting to the DNC has been to democratize the DNC. This is a long-term project. It's not going to be accomplished when Democrats hold the White House, because when there's a Democratic president, it's their DNC and whatever they want goes. It's a strange world because under Tom Perez, who we disagreed with, California disagreed with almost unanimously on a lot of things, DNC members actually had a lot more power because Tom Perez was elected by the DNC. Here we now have a chair who is universally beloved by both more establishment DNC members, as well as reformist DNC members, but who has as much power as we do, which is to say very little, if none, because this party is being run out of the White House's political shop. Jamie can only do as much as they let him do. So even though we have a chair who is much more pro-reform and wants to get things done much more so than Tom Perez did, we're getting much less done just because of the dynamics between the DNC and the White House.
Thank you. Thank you. Val, you have your hand up?
So where is the next convention going to be?
That's the question. I don't know. Just so everyone knows, DNC members don't even get a ratification vote on the convention location or the timing of it. Same thing, we have no control over the number of primary debates or those locations or the rules, which is why last cycle Tom Perez kept changing the rules to allow nominal Democrats like Mike Bloomberg onto the debate stage, even though he was not eligible according to our then existing rules. So I don't know. There are 4 cities that are in contention: Chicago, New York, Atlanta, and Houston. I don't believe that either Atlanta or Houston are being seriously considered because those are red states, and there are serious concerns about having a convention that is roughly half in terms of people who can carry children, and you're bringing them to a week-long convention. And if there's something that happens to their fetus, where can they go for to access their right to healthcare? And they can't. So I think that the only 2 states or 2 cities that are seriously being considered are New York and Chicago. Again, as I said, we do not get any sort of ratification vote, so it literally will be a decision made by the president himself. Saying that, my goals when it comes to the convention are finding convention housing hotels that are close by to the convention site for California and are relatively cheap. If I was a betting man, and I'm not, especially after 2016, my guess is that we'll be in New York. But we'll wait and see see what the president decides on that.
Thank you, Michael. I want to, can you hang around for a few more minutes? We have Assemblyman Rudy Salas with us, who's a congressional candidate in CD 22, and he only has a limited amount of time. Can we come back to you after that?
You got it. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dottie, do you want to introduce Assemblyman Salas?
Good morning, everyone. I'd just like to say Rudy Salas, I'm sorry, represents California's 32nd Assembly District. The district encompasses Kings County and parts of northwestern Kern County. Before being elected to the Assembly in 2012, he sat on the Bakersfield City Council. Mr. Salas has held fast to his commitment to make sure that he stands up for the Central Valley. But he is also a graduate of UCLA. At this time, I'd like to introduce Miss Abby Olmstead, who will continue with the introduction, and he will ask for him to speak. Abby, are you here?
I am, Dottie. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, we have such an exciting opportunity here with such an incredible candidate. I will actually just go ahead and pass it over to Assemblymember Rudy Salas to talk more about himself and this campaign.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dottie, for that. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for everything that you do. What you do makes a difference. It makes a difference in these races. It makes the difference for families, not just here in California, but across the entire country. And I would dare to say even across the entire world. We know that whoever controls that gavel controls so much of the fate of our country. And so I just want to say thank you guys for everything that you do, because the postcards, the phone calls, and the folks that are able to get door to door, like all of that makes a difference. I tell people, we won this seat in 2018, we lost it in 2020, and we're hoping to get it back in 22. So win 22 and 22. But I tell people in 2020, we could have won this race if we just reached out to 5 more people in each neighborhood. If we would have got 5 more people to vote for us in each neighborhood, we would have kept this seat, right? And we know how close the margin's in. And this is really about the future, not only of the country, but the future of where we go on some of these big issues. Where do we go on issues like prescription medications, life-saving medications, right? Here in California in the state assembly and the legislature, I've been able to vote on legislation that will actually help us negotiate lower prescription medication costs, right? So we're doing that now. I know in this district, we have the highest diabetes rate in the entire state. And so costs of things like insulin, for instance, is like extremely important, something that we're working on at the state to lower those prescription drug costs. And I tell people, my opponent had a chance to vote on capping insulin prices and he didn't, right? And so I'm like, there's a big difference here between us and our candidacy. So if you believe, like he believes it shouldn't be capped, then that's your guy. If you believe it should, and we should be lowering medications, and I'm your guy, right? I tell people even, earlier this year, I carried legislation to actually increase everyone's Social Security check, just because we know people were struggling to pay the bills and dealing with inflation. And so I stopped my legislation because we were able to put it in the state budget. And so everybody should be receiving a larger Social Security check and also disability check, because it said anytime we're in a budget surplus to the billions of dollars that we are here in California, then we should be helping those that really need it. And then my opponent was asked about privatizing Social Security, and he, was like, well, we should definitely, be open to that idea and start going down that road. And I was like, wow. There's another big difference. Every time he speaks, I feel like there's always, it's pretty clear, which way do you want to go? Do you want to go down the road of privatization? Do you want to go down the road of higher prescription drug costs? It's pretty amazing to be some of the things that he's saying. And I don't know if he's just getting beat up on the far right or what it is, but it's just, it's definitely a choice here. And so I just want to say thank you guys for everything that you do, because we know seniors know, right? And they always have. And, a lot of folks, in your families, I know for me and my family, my grandmother was like the matriarch. And so whatever she said, if she said vote or go do something, everybody went and did it. And so, so I'm hoping that's the case for a lot of you as well. But not only that, it's just people going to somebody that somebody trusts and knows, that pays attention to the issues, right? And so because you guys are involved, you guys are engaged, I'm hoping a lot of your friends, neighbors, and family will ask you, okay, so what's the deal with this candidate? What's the deal on this proposition? Because you're informed, you take the time on the weekends, you take the time to be on Zooms and to learn about the issues and to talk about the nuances of the policy. And so, more than anything, we're trying to get this across the finish line. We have 51 more days. I tell people, we're running on a strong record. I've been elected now for 12 years, ran 6 consecutive elections. I was born and raised in the district and Central Valley, all public schools, went to UCLA, double majored, political science and history, worked at the White House for a little bit for the office of the vice president. And came back, worked at the local university as a counselor, getting kids into college, and then worked in the Capitol. And so now, all I do is I tell people, look, people want to know what their elected official is doing. How are they delivering for the area? And I could tell you that over this last year, just this last year alone, we delivered over $127 million into the district in direct asks, right? That's to our university, that's to our community college, that's to build infrastructure. I was presenting a check last week to buy new fire trucks for some of our small cities. The money I got for the district for the university is going to double the graduating nurses at our local universities, because we know that getting our doctor's appointments is so important, but so hard because they say we don't have the personnel that we need to actually meet the needs. And so, I was able to secure money to actually double the graduating size for the next 10 years. At our local universities. So I tell people that's who I am. I'm going out and trying to fix a problem out in the community. And if you Google me and type in Rudy Salas healthcare, Rudy Salas medications, like a lot of things are going to come up, and it's because we've been actively involved. But more than anything, I just want to say thank you guys for what you do and being engaged. So happy to take any questions. I don't know, Abby, are you?
I was going to present afterwards with the district and all of the new exciting information.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. I know you have a limited amount of time because you're out on the campaign trail pushing for the issues that our caucus cares about. Incredible. I mean, privatizing Medicare has got to stop. Improving, expanding, and protecting Social Security is uppermost for all of us. And so I know that you need to leave, but I want to thank you so much for being here. It's greatly appreciated.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Abby, can we come back to you after we finish up with Michael?
I can be super brief, like 5 minutes, if that works. Is that okay? Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Fabulous. So a quick overview of the district and the redistricting process. We are really excited that we were able to see with redistricting a move from a Biden plus 11 to a Biden plus nearly 13. So redistricting was really kind to us down here. And what was really exciting about this redistricting process is we were able to encompass more of the assembly members district. So it right now is currently the 22nd district is roughly 50% represented by the assembly member. 50% is also represented by Congressman Valadao. And so we know that these voters here, it was pretty exciting and encouraging to see. They know who Rudy is from his decade of service, from coat drives to turkey drives to stuffing the bus to backpack drives. The community here in the Central Valley really knows the assembly member and really knows the work that he has done to deliver and do the most good for the most amount of people. A simple motto that his office has been able to embody for the last 12 years in office. Additionally, this is a 69% Hispanic population, Latino population in this district. It is the largest population of Latinos in a congressional district in the state of California. So we are encouraged by this information, on top of the fact that we have the opportunity to elect the first Latino from the Central Valley to represent somewhere in the Central Valley in Congress. And so we are thrilled, we are excited, we are fighting hard every single day. We are making phone calls, we are talking to voters at their doors. I saw someone mention Cecilia. She's actually out in, I think it's Tulare County today, helping us launch some of our volunteers out there. I mean, we are going every day, and we need all the help we can get. So if anyone has extra time that they are able to dedicate to flipping this seat, we know that the control of the House runs through this district, and we've got Kevin McCarthy in our back porch. He's right there, and he is fighting hard to keep Congressman Valadao in Congress. So as much as you can help, I'm going to put in the chat a link to go to help us out. We appreciate any and all help. I'm also going to put an email in the chat as well. So if you have any questions, you want to get involved in some way, website isn't working, anything like that, I'm going to make sure that everyone has access to that so they can ask any questions. It looks like, Dottie, it looks like you have a question. I'm happy to take that now.
Yes, I do. I have a question.
Yeah.
In terms of the Central Valley, we have one of the largest Hmong populations in the nation. Have you been reaching out to the Hmong population as well?
We have been reaching out to voters regardless of background and population. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's good. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions, Abby put her email in the in the chat. We're also going to be talking with all of the representatives from all of the congressional districts who've spoken today to see if we can do senior to senior peer calling and things like that. So that is to be continued. So thanks, Abby. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Talk to y'all soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's see, Carolyn, you had a question from or a statement before when Michael was talking. You still have
Yes.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. First, Michael is being very modest, you guys. Michael is the vice chair for our region, our Western region division. And I've only been here, this is my first term. And of course, the first 2 years of COVID. So I'm just trying to really catch up. But I want to strongly suggest you read the update that he sent out and put in the chat. It was excellent. So I'm very proud of him supporting us in that way. He's also a member of they have a reform group, which we're trying to grow. I just joined, trying to get my feet wet, just trying to understand, but I was appalled at the abruptness, or I should say the lack of consideration for people to speak. I've never been in a situation where resolutions are presented and nobody gets even a first or a second for discussion. That was just shocking and appalling to me. I did, Michael, get a chance to share some of my concerns with Congressmember Lee, who happened to just be sitting a couple of seats from me at the meeting Saturday. Michael also was formerly over the Youth Council, and he did an excellent job there. I did have to witness that. So I think a lot of times people do a lot of work and they don't get credit or acknowledged. So take your flowers while you can, Michael, at least coming from me, you know what I'll be saying about you. Additionally, some of the things we all got to go to different caucuses. And I just wanted to kind of highlight, not only were some of the caucuses similar to ours, like senior, labor, etc. We had the benefit of hearing from one of the nation's foremost consultants, political consultants, Celinda Lake. And so the interesting piece was she would go to the different caucuses, and so she would give the polling results from seniors, from the Black Caucus, from the Labor Caucus. And I'll just tell you, we just have to turn people out. Everybody is fired up when we got there. Everybody that's there, labor is ready to go full blast. So every day, if you're just phone banking or texting or just for an hour, it would make a difference in some of these races and getting people out. So hopefully people will do that. And then I'll have some announcements later, but thank you, Michael. Excellent job.
Yeah, thanks, Carolyn. I also want your background. Could you send it to me, please?
Sure.
Great, thanks. All really important. So, Michael, we turn the mic back to you.
Thanks so much, Chairwoman. Happy to answer any other questions. But if there are none, just want to say thank you again for having me. Thank you for the invitation, Ruth. And I'll drop my contact information in the chat in case anyone wants to speak further. But just to follow up on what my DNC sister said, the reform efforts at the DNC now are light and day from what we had in 2016 or 2017 when I went to my first meeting. We were not nearly organized, but Keith Ellison's campaign for chair really gave us the kick in the pants that we needed to get organized. Plus, there's the fact that we've done a lot of work around the country to not just connect us with others, because the DNC does not want us to talk to one another, but to elect new pro-reform DNC members from around the country. And our ranks have definitely swelled from that Keith Ellison versus Tom Perez election. So the future is bright. It's just not going to happen when Democrats hold the White House. But when we don't, we're going to be ready to move as quickly as possible to get all of these changes done to the national party.
Well, I'm sorry that if a president is a Democrat, that we won't be able to get what we need, but we do need to get in 2024, we need to have a Democrat as president. So
100%. Yes. It doesn't stop me from working any harder. And I'd much rather have the DNC as it is and a Democrat in the White House than the opposite. But if that ever occurs, not only will we be facing the end of American democracy, but hopefully we'll have a slightly more democratic, small d, Democratic Party, if we still have a country after that.
well, thank you, Michael, and thank you, Carolyn, for fighting the good fight. It's important. And yes, we still need to be out in the trenches right now, supporting our candidates. So Michael, thank you for joining us today. Greatly appreciated. And so now we're moving on to our next congressional candidate for CD 49. And Angelica, would you like to introduce Ellen?
Yes, I'm happy to welcome and introduce Ellen Montanari, who is the Deputy Campaign Manager for Mike Levin of Congressional District 49, which includes Southern Orange County as well as Northern San Diego County. Ellen, would you unmute yourself?
Yeah, that makes a difference, doesn't it, when you unmute yourself? Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us here. Oh my God, it just spotlighted me and it's a great big face. Sorry about that. I live down here in San Diego County, yet our district is both north and south, South Orange County and North San Diego County. I've been trying to figure out, if you're talking to lots of candidates and their folks, I was trying to figure out how to differentiate myself so that you remember who I am. And the only thing that I could think of is, I'm sure you all have been around long enough to know that Daryl Issa used to be the representative in our district. Yes? Yes? No? Is anyone there? Yeah? Okay. I was the person who led the rallies out in front of, protests out in front of his office for 69 weeks, and he finally resigned. So I had never been political before. I owned a company. I actually owned two companies, and we worked around the world. And I got a little shook up when Donald Trump was elected, and with the stuff that happened in front of ICE's office, I lost my companies because my clients didn't like what I was doing, but it was totally worth it. So I've been working for Mike now since 2018, and am incredibly happy to be doing so. A lot of people talk about this race as a, oh, it's Biden. It was a Biden plus 11 district, so he doesn't have any problems. Yes, Mike, he is back. He is like a bad penny. And he is what he is, and I can't help that anymore. So yes, it's a Biden plus 11 if you were looking at the old district and if you're looking at a presidential year. This is not a presidential year, as you all know. This is a midterm election, and Democrats typically don't turn out. Right now, Mike's race is sadly neck and neck. All of the pollsters are saying lean Democrat or toss-up. Cal Matters says it's a toss-up. And I find that so hard to believe because the difference between Mike and his competition is very different. Part of our challenge here in the 49th is that with redistricting, we lost the southern half of San Diego County. And those were what we call, were our perfect voters. They were the ones who vote midterm elections, general elections, whenever. And what we gained was Orange County. And it's not the North Orange County that actually is very diverse and can vote Democratic. We have South Orange County, the home of a number of January 6th insurrectionists, San Clemente, Laguna Niguel, all of those places. So our race is tough. Mike has never won Orange County. So it's through San Diego and the vote down there that we are able to win the election. Just to give you some context about that, with the recall election, our district supported Governor Newsom by only 0.5%. That's how close this race is. He's a frontline Dem. He's the only member of Congress who has a competitive race in San Diego County. Of course, we all know Orange County is very very competitive. So what I know when I talked to Angelica, she said that one of the things that you all were interested in was peer-to-peer text, peer-to-peer phone calls. So what I've done is had one of our great staff members put together a script for senior to senior calls. And we are willing to carve out a custom phone bank for you all, depending upon your interest. So in the chat, if I can figure out how to get into the chat here, there it is. There's a link for you all to sign up to indicate your interest in making calls both before October 10th and after October 10th. You all are veterans of elections. So I don't really need to say this, but I'll say it anyway, that before October 10th, we're doing persuasion calls. So what we're trying to do is simply ID supporters. In our district, we're about a third Democrat, a third Republican, and a third declined to state. So we win or lose truly on the declined to state voters. So we call both Democrats and declined to state voters, seeing if they support Mike or not. And the script is all about senior adults and Medicare and Social Security and Mike's record on all of that and what he supports. So then after October 10th, we take all those people that we have supported, we've identified as supporters, and then we call them and bug them until they vote. Our very great need is the calls before October 10th, because our district changed significantly, especially in Orange County. We need to identify those voters. So what we have identified for you all is a lot of the low propensity voters, the voters who typically do not vote during midterm elections, to talk to them about the importance of turning out. So that's it from me. And if there's any questions, I would love to answer them.
Dennis.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, and nice to meet you here on the Zoom, Ellen, and thanks for all you've done. I'm in Newport Beach, and I know Mike, and he's a wonderful candidate. So a couple of questions. What is the campaign website, if you can put that in the link?
You bet.
Then also the forms that you put in for this help to phone bank has a permission request deny on it. Yeah, so you guys might check into that. Only when you click on it, it says you need to have permission.
Give me a dang break. You know, do you want to know how much I hate Google Forms? I hate Google in a large way that you all can't even begin to understand. Yes, I will definitely try to figure out what I did wrong. Perfect. So, you know what? I'm also on Medicare. So technology is not always my friend. So
yeah. Well, anyways, we're going to fight all the way to the end. You know, we've got Chen going on against Steele. We've got Katie Porter here in Orange County, and we're going to do what we did in 2018 and turn everything blue. And Mike's got that important race against that terrible MAGA Republican. So we're all in.
So, and he claims he's not. You know, I'm also part of Indivisible 49. I'm on the leadership team there. And he calls us a paramilitary group and that we're a bunch of thugs and we throw acid on the cards. And I have to tell you, I turn 69 next week, and the average age of Indivisible 49 members is around my age. And all I want to do is show up as at one of his events when he says that in my Republican garb and say, look at me. Look at me. Do I look like somebody who throws acid and is a paramilitary thug? I don't think so. So yeah, he talks moderately when he's talking to the press, but you know, when we send our trackers into his events, it's very different.
Perfect. So the campaign is the MikeLevin.org. That's the campaign sign. Got it. Thank you. Yeah.
And if for some reason I can't figure out that form, you can always go to his website and click on volunteer and say that you're with the CDP Senior Caucus, and that dang Ellen Montanari couldn't figure out how to get a form to you all. So.
Yeah, I wanted to add one other thing. I know that Congressman Levin is a supporter of HR 5723, which we have been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing about. Again, I want to remind everybody who's on the call today to please contact Speaker Pelosi's office, because she's still dragging her feet about bringing it for even for a markup in the House of Representatives. So want to would you please convey our thanks to the congressman for being a co-sponsor of HR 5723. We've been doing a lot of work in informing our caucus members about what it entails, and it would protect and expand Social Security. So it's one of those things that's near and dear to our hearts.
Well, I can't believe that it's not coming forward, because with all the Republican talk about what they want to do with Social Security and Medicare and all of that, that we haven't tried to codify that even more to expand it. So I will see Mike this afternoon. I'm heading up to LA after after this meeting, and I will corner him and talk to him about it. Happy to do that. Happy to do that. And he's a pretty good friend of Nancy Pelosi's. So I'll have him talk to the speaker about it. We'll see how far
we've been calling her office, and we are going to continue to call her office to get it to come up for even a markup and then for a vote. So
yeah. I'm writing down some notes because I don't know about y'all's memory, but mine isn't the best. So I had to write down the markup thing. Now I'm going to look at that later and say, no, what does that mean? But yeah, okay, I got it.
Thanks. And
thank you.
I see Carolyn had her hand up.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. You piqued my interest when you talked about the votes not being able to come from Orange County. Does that mean we're not attempting to have a plan to reach out to Orange County?
Because
to me, we should definitely be targeting.
Oh, yes. No, we definitely do. Even though we've never won Orange County, our goal is to get that vote so that it stays close. Mike lives in San Juan Capistrano. He lives in Orange County. So definitely we have an office up there, and our newest community is Laguna Niguel, and we have canvassers going in. They're really focusing on that to introduce Mike and to let them know what he stands for. And yes, we spend hours on the ground and on the phones with him. I don't know about the rest of the people here who are with campaigns. I don't know if they found the same kind of lethargy with their volunteers that we have. I think most of our volunteers, well, first of all, we activated them with Mike. It's the first time we'd had a Democrat in this district for a long time. So a lot of them have gotten so activated, they're now working on the down ballot candidates, which is terrific. I would love to think that they could walk and chew gum at the same time and do both. But
talk to Ada Vecino. Ada's pretty good at getting them to focus and target, especially in close races. So and you're right. I met Mike maybe 3 months ago, but it was at Nancy Pelosi's office. So they are very close. Yes. So I'm sure him putting in a good word might help that. But unfortunately, there's so many priorities. I kind of, after you go back there and you hear everything that's going on, I just want to say this to all our members. They have so many balls up in the air to keep going and, raising money, trying to fight the fight against the Republicans. It's our issue because we're seniors and that's the number one priority for us. But I got to tell you, they are dealing with some demons back there on every single front. The veterans and their families, trying to protect them, trying to protect the reproductive right. I mean, it's just, I would never want that job. I got to tell you guys. And then, they go back and forth between DC and their homes. We really owe them a debt of gratitude. I don't know that people really understand what happens and what has to happen on a daily basis when you're fighting. Instead of working with people, people want to definitely do the opposite of absolutely nothing for your people.
I have to say that Mike has been like a kid in a candy store since he's been in Congress. He's one of the most productive members I have ever been. I grew up in DC, and I have a fairly healthy disrespect for a lot of politicians growing up there. But I'm telling you, he's the real deal. Or I would never. I mean, honestly, would you be working 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day when you're our age? Maybe you all are doing it. But it's been a little tough on me and my family and certainly my body. But he's worth it. He really is. And I knew that I could not wake up on November 9th and say, oh my God, if I'd just done a little bit more, Mike would be elected. So we think that if he wins, of course, we're counting on him winning, but we're pretty sure it's only going to be by a few thousand votes. That's how close it's going to be. So if you all can help with your phone calls to seniors, I think that would be amazing. Anything else?
Thank
Any
you,
other
sir.
questions?
Ellen, Barbara Wilson here. I would just, I know that area a little, in fact, I was just down there not long ago for a conference. Please don't overlook the participation of grassroots organizations that serve people with mental illness, because, you know, most of the benefits that accrue to people with disabilities, like mental disabilities, come through the doorway of seniors, because there's no love and no compassion for people that have mental illness. All of the compassion is for children and older adults, what little there is.
You know, Barbara, you are so on point, and thank you for saying that, because I have 2 adopted children, both of them with special needs, and my oldest is 27 and he has mental illness, and he's been under psychiatric care since he was 5.
And he's going to age out.
And so I wrote that down. You are absolutely right. I am going to make it my personal job to get a hold of those organizations. I certainly know where they are because I've been dealing with them his whole life.
I would also mention the ones that serve people that have mostly mental illness that involve psychosis.
Yes, I know. That's my son.
Not just the regional center.
No, well, my son has never been a regional center client. So my daughter is, because hers is a cognitive disability, but those people with mental illness, they have no help. I've just been really lucky since I owned a company. My healthcare is excellent, and we had enough cash to provide for him because you just can't find with your insurance, you can't get good help. So I know that we're digressing, but Barbara, you're speaking to my heart.
If you need any help on that, please feel free to contact me.
I will. I definitely will. Angelica, will you be able to get me Barbara's information?
I'll just put it right here. I have a little nonprofit that serves this niche population called mentalhealthhookup.org. Don't have any space in between it or you'll get sex stuff on your computer.
Yeah.
Ellen, yes, I'll follow up and make sure you have her contact information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Dr. Bill.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and thank Ellen as well, and Mike Levin. I've known Mike a long time as an Orange County Democratic Party activist and advocate. And he is certainly, as Barbara has pointed out in her comment, Mike is on board for Medicare for All and basically all things healthcare, all things that would make healthcare a human right, including the treatment of prevention of COVID deaths and more pandemics yet to come. And he also has the insight of being an environmental attorney prior to being in Congress. And Mike is the member of Congress who represents the area of San Onofre, which is now, of course, mothballed, but we've got all of that nuclear waste sitting there. So I sleep better at night because Mike Levin holds that position in Congress. So I just want to thank you, Ellen, for your work, and anyone else who can volunteer to help Mike Levin get reelected. Thanks.
And thank you, Bill. It's nice to be able to put a name and a face together because we've communicated before.
So
Anything else?
Ellen, we look
Yeah.
forward to continuing conversations and communications, and we will be highlighting the Levin campaign in our newsletter that will go out almost as soon as our meeting is over, along with the information about how to sign up with you.
Yes, and I'm going to log off now so that I can go try to fix that dang form to make it work for you all. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
And so our last congressional candidate campaign that we will be highlighting at today's meeting is going to be about CD 47. And Dr. Bill, you're going to introduce this?
Sure, just a few words. And I want to thank Aileen Ariano, who's with the campaign. She'll be joining us here in a minute. But just to preface, I live in Congresswoman Porter's district now, which is the 45th. It's been newly drawn, of course, after redistricting, and she will now be in that part of Irvine that got redrawn toward the coast. So it's now a coastal district, the CD 47, but there's nobody, I think, in Congress that we need more to stay in Congress than Katie Porter. So Katie Porter is the national deputy chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which means she is, on board with the entirety of the California Democratic Party platform, which we know is way ahead of most candidates running at all levels of public office. And besides that is just, as we all know, an undisputed champion for the working class, and especially as regards all things in financing and banking, and as such, she understands insurance and Wall Street, and therefore, she has to stay in Congress. So I want to thank Aileen Ariano for joining us today to update us on the campaign. And by extension, please give our thanks to Representative Porter when you see her.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Bill.
Thank you, Dr. Bill, for that introduction. As mentioned, our new district that we are running in is majority coastal. So for us, when we're looking at numbers, this means only 33% of Katie's current district is part of the new district of CA 47. For us, that means a lot of work, right? Introducing Katie to folks, which I know sometimes when we talk to our volunteers, they're like, what do you mean you need to introduce her to people? Like, she's Katie Porter. But the reality is, right, on the ground in her community, along the coastal areas, folks that are, just living their life day to day, they might not even have an idea who she is. And so for us, that makes it 10 times more important to be out there on the ground or making phone calls, whatever it is that gets us to reach voters. It's what we're doing right now. A lot of people also ask often, is it a competitive race or what are the polls looking like? And for us, it comes back down again to the reality, like 2/3 of the district has never had her as a representative. So even though she is going for a third term, it's like, we're doing the work, right, of introducing ourselves into the community, making sure folks have a good idea of what her platform is, what she's already done, and what she can continue to keep doing if we reelect her. And then thank you, Dennis, too, for plugging our website. I just want to talk a bit about some of the upcoming events we have. So in October, our campaign is switching into get out the vote mode. We're doing it a little bit earlier. Typically, campaigns hold off until the end of October. However, this is such an urgent race. And in California, as you all may know, ballots go out October 10th to registered voters. So for us, that's why we're getting, a head start starting October 1st. We're talking to our supporters. We're making sure they have a vote plan, all that good stuff. But I'll go ahead and share in the chat box too while I'm speaking about some of our upcoming events. And I believe also similar to what Ellen spoke about when she was here, we'd be happy to do a senior to senior phone bank. So please let me know if you have some interest in that. The current system we use to make calls is Scale to Win. So I don't know if folks are familiar to that, but it's very user friendly and it's an auto dialer we use. Currently, we are speaking to folks in our persuasion universe. So anyone that maybe is I think low turnout in voting, Dems, as well as our NPP voters, and a few Republicans. That's currently the base that we're talking to. In our district, it's a pretty even split, like 33 Dems, Republicans, NPP. And so that's a lot of the work that we're doing right now. We also have an end of month call on Zoom coming up. So those are the last Wednesdays of the month. This one will be the last, since October is just going to be crunch time for us. And so that would be Wednesday, the 28th, and Katie will be joining us on that call. You'll see I dropped that link in the chat box. It's katieporter.us/monthly. And then in general, overall, we really welcome folks to join our phone banks. We have those on a weekly basis, Thursday nights at 5 p.m. and also on the weekends. We'll be doing those from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. starting October. So I do welcome you all to join us, but I'm also happy to take any questions. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. But once again, thank you for having me here today.
Dr. Bill.
Well, I'll just pick your brain a little too, because most of us probably know that the coastal part of the Orange County, is almost a bit of kind of a red zone. So you've got Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, Fountain Valley. These are all areas that supported the former infamous member of Congress, Dina Warbacker, name intentionally changed by me, and now is represented by Michelle Steele, who is just as awful, frankly, and is a big Donald Trump supporter. So that means we are up against significant resistance. And that we need to turn out Democrats like we never have for this newly drawn district for Katie, right?
Yes, exactly. Michelle Steele, so she kind of, scurried away once she saw her opponent was going to be Katie Porter. And so now she's running up against Jay Chen. And so they're trying to, I think, flip that district. So as you mentioned, though, sadly, in 2020, this is where we lost with Harley Ruda. We built up the base right in 2018, blue wave, and then 2020, unfortunately, went to Michelle Steele. And so now we have that fight again, right? We have some parts of this new district that are very welcoming of Katie, but we're also very well aware of, what has historically been a red area of Orange County. One cool thing, though, I guess, if it makes folks feel better, is like a lot of what Katie does, like if you take away the fact that she's a Democrat and you let folks know at the door, like she is one of the few members in Congress that does not take any corporate super PAC lobbyist money. That will, if they're hearing about Katie for the first time, a lot of folks will just kind of pause and be like, oh, that's different, right? They really like the fact that she's all about transparency with her dollars, as well as the work she does in oversight committee, right? That's all about transparency, breaking things down for us. I know if I wouldn't have seen a viral clip of the oversight committee, I wasn't going to go and find that myself, right? And I think for some folks, that might be the same. And so that's really been messaging that's been working great for us, is reminding folks Katie Porter is one of the few members in the House right now that just really, with her money, you can, go ahead and check that out online if you want to, FEC files. But yeah, no corporate PACers or lobbyist money. And then I think she's one of 10 incumbents running for re-election that does not take any lobbyist money or super PAC. So again, the number sadly gets even sadder, right, when we consider there's 300 plus members. But yeah, winning the coastal cities is going to be critical for us. And so I think it's really critical that folks know, even though she's a superstar candidate, that doesn't mean the work stops there. But yeah.
Thank you. Dennis, you have a question?
Yeah, just a couple comments. Aileen, thank you so much for being here. Hi to Allie and the whole team there. Way to go. Love the sign behind there. So a couple things. One, yes, we got to turn the Ds out, right? So hopefully DPOC now has sent you guys the voter endorsed guides. Okay, so hopefully with canvassing, that all gets out, because we know when we're talking to someone at a house, they say, okay, great, I'm all sold on KP. Who else do I vote for? And to have that endorsed voter guide, or to appoint them to the DPOC, Democratic Party of Orange County's endorsed page that has an entire list. Because the key is, and this is what recently came out with Favreau's focus group, right, was that when you talk to 18 to 34-year-olds, they might not be so engaged in order to know who to vote for. But the point is, the choice and abortion and that entire Prop 1 is definitely something that they don't want to have happen. They want to have women's rights, and that gets them activated. So if they simply know how to vote on the ballot when they get it, and to duly complete it, which includes Katie Porter, right, then it's very easy. They just transfer the names from the endorsed voter guide over to that ballot, sign date, and turn it in. So it's all about turnout. So I'm glad you've received those endorsed voter guide, the printed sheets from the DPOC.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yep.
Aileen?
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add at this point?
No, just Angelica, if you could let me know afterwards if there's any interest in that senior to senior phone bank, I'd be happy to set that up for y'all. It could even be outside of the scheduled phone bank hours, and I'd be happy to provide either training material or provide a training myself. But yeah, thank you folks so much for your support. And nice to see you, Dennis, and a couple of familiar names on the screen, actually. But yeah, thank you, folks. I do have to go run a phone bank now, but thank you once again.
Thank you. I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. So a few people asked me to comment if they could make some comments. They have some announcements to make. And so Danette, we'll start with you. We have a few minutes.
Thank you, Ruth, so much. Appreciate it. I just wanted to bring to the caucus's attention a couple of bills that we need defeated. The first one is AB 2143. We need Governor Newsom to veto that bill. And I'll put this in the chat. This is the last standing anti-solar bill. As you may or may not know, the CPUC in cahoots with Newsom have been trying to sneak in a tax for rooftop solar, which will make it highly unaffordable for a vast majority of lower and middle income people. We need him to veto that as soon as possible. I think it might be on his desk as we speak. The other bill I wanted to talk about was SB 884. This is the $100 billion that they want to give away to PG&E for them to underground their wires, when we have much better use for that money, like investing in clean energy resiliency, like rooftop solar with batteries. We don't want to discourage consumers from switching to electric vehicles and electrifying houses by making electricity too expensive. Southern California Edison has had great success with wrapping their wires. As you may or may not know, the fires in Northern California were started by sparking uncovered wires, a lot of them. It's actually really fairly cheap and effective way to prevent those fires instead of undergrounding, which again would cost $70 to $100 billion of taxpayer money. So I will put that information in the chat and sure would appreciate if you could make calls to Governor Newsom to make sure those get defeated. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Danette. And Carolyn, I heard you say that you have a few announcements. Do you? Uh-oh. Yeah, okay, here she
Greetings.
is.
Okay. Yeah, you caught me. I was filling out the form, a Google form to phone bank. One announcement I wanted to make, I mentioned it maybe a couple of meetings or so ago, Assembly Bill 2145 for dental health in skilled nursing facilities. I wrote a proposal as a member of the California Senior Legislature. I did write a proposal. The bill was picked up, and the governor signed the bill last week. And what this means is, prior to this bill being signed, the registered dental assistants here in the state of California could not help in the skilled nursing facilities, either doing the pre-cleaning for the patients or training of the staff there. As a result of the signing of this bill, the governor signed the bill that is now possible in all the skilled nursing facilities. And as you can imagine, with COVID, for 2 years, people have not had their teeth taken care of. And we know how that leads to other diseases and in some instances, death. So very proud of that passing, AB 2145, spread the word.
Thank you, Carolyn. And congrats on that one.
Oh, thank you. And I don't know how many members may be a member of CARA, but the LA County meeting is going to be taking place September 23rd from 10 to 12:30. They've got a very good lineup about the propositions, as well as keynote speakers from the area. So if you want, I can put that link in the chat for people to register for that.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Take care.
Okay, Angelica?
Hi there. I just wanted to quickly say that I know we've been focusing on sharing volunteer opportunities for the various campaigns. I just wanted to point to Katie Porter's merchandise. If people cannot, if phone banking is not a fit for them, canvassing to support the campaign, I love and wish that other campaigns would have things like this. And I actually have, I just wanted to point out her, she's got great merchandise. If you know people that would buy the socks and the shirts and the hats, it's a silly thing to share here, but I think every little thing matters. So just sharing.
Thank you. Thanks, Angelica. I love that. Let's see. So I don't see anyone who is asking for to make any more announcements. I want to thank you all for being here.